What's up, you guys? Welcome back to Momani's channel. So today I'm bringing you guys another one of my famous breakup videos. I was like, let me just make another breakup video. Today's breakup video is going to be on my very first boyfriend, my numero uno. And when I say numero uno, you guys, I mean like numero uno and everything, if you guys know what I mean. And I was even debating on making a video because I'm like, I don't even want to talk about it, you guys, because honestly, you guys, I'm ashamed of a lot of stuff that happened in this relationship. But you know, it was my first boyfriend and we live and we learn. I definitely made a lot of mistakes. I did a lot of things that I regret. There's just so much to this story, you guys. So yeah, you guys, let's just get into it. Let me take another sippy sip because I'm about to stress you guys out with this whole relationship. So this story starts in high school, sophomore year, and I was a very quiet girl in high school. I was shy, I was quiet, I wasn't outspoken how I am today. I was just super shy, you guys. I was like this shy girl. I'm nothing like I am today. I feel like how I am today is just because of all the stuff that's happened to me throughout life. Basically, how I met my first boyfriend. Okay, so first things first, you guys already know I always name my ex-boyfriends in this video. So I actually don't even name them until I'm recording this with you guys. So let's see, what should we name him? I don't know if I've named any of my exes Pablo yet, have I? Let's name him Pablo. If I used Pablo already, then fuck it, you know? So how I met Pablo was in a sophomore year. How this story all kind of started was he was in my history class. We had this dope ass teacher. His name was Mr. Young. I remember one time Mr. Young, he was so pissed that the freaking printer didn't work at my school. For those of you guys who are from Fresno, shout out to Fresno. That's my hometown, if you guys didn't already know. I actually went to Fresno High. Mr. Young, he was just a dope ass teacher. I remember one time he was so pissed that the printer was broken, and I guess like our school kind of had like low resources, and I guess they were just kind of cheap. They didn't want to fix anything. He fucking put like he put on a fucking sign. Like it was crazy. He made a sign and he put it over his neck, and basically he was protesting that the fucking printer wasn't working. And apparently like he was just so pissed about it that there was another day where he actually handcuffed himself to the fucking printer, which is crazy. But you know, he was standing up for what he believed in, and I think that's super dope. So that's how I remember Mr. Young. But anyways, I remember I had Pablo in this class. He was a pretty quiet kid too. Like he wouldn't really talk. I would always see him. He would only talk to like one girl there. I kind of like knew they were friends or whatever, but it was nothing like that. I would just do my own thing. He was just like my classmate. I never talked to him or anything. I just knew he was in my class. Like, you know, classmates like that. Fast forward junior year, Pablo actually used to kick it with a group of guys, right? You know, like when you're in high school, there's like little crews everywhere. Like everyone has their own little squad. So like I had like my little squad, and like he had like his little squad. But anyways, I knew everyone in that squad. Except for him. He was like the only one I didn't talk to, which was weird because he was in my class. But he was a pretty quiet kid, and I was pretty quiet myself. Or at least I thought he was quiet. And you know what they say, you guys? The quiet ones are always the worst. So let me take a sip to that. How I ended up like ruining part of my life was, fast forward to junior year. I had actually already like finished junior year. It was like kind of like the end. It was about to be the end of junior year. I remember my little badass was in night school. So I remember I was going to night school at the time. Where was it at? I think I was going to, if you guys are from Fresno, I think I was going to Cesar Chavez. That's where they were having night school at when I was in high school. I would take the city bus to go to night school because night school was in downtown. And me and all my little homegirls that were in night school would take like we'd take the bus to go to night school. I'm on the bus, and then I get off the bus and I'm walking to like my little night school. And I remember this girl walks up to me and she's like, hey, are you Monique? It's my government name, you guys, in case you guys didn't know. And I was like, yeah, why, what's up? So she said, oh, my boy Pablo said, what's up? So I was like, what? Pablo? Like, I was like, who's Pablo? And she was like, oh, you know, he said that he used to have a class with you last year, which was sophomore year in history class. So I was like, what? So I was like, okay, okay, Pablo? I was like, what? That's pretty random. So Pablo, you guys, how can I explain Pablo to you guys? So when she told me Pablo, I was like, what, Pablo? And like Pablo, like he was cute, you know, but like since he was so quiet and like he wouldn't really talk, like I never really thought of him like that. But when she was like Pablo, and I like, you know, I kind of had like I had a little vision in my head real quick when she said like Pablo, and I was like, Pablo. So imagine like a little bubble right here, and I was thinking, and I just imagined him. And just to explain Pablo to you guys, so Pablo was he was a Puerto Rican dude. He was super tall. He was like tall, dark, and handsome. I even hate saying this. Out of all my exes, I feel like me and Pablo really did look good together. If that makes sense. Like, I don't know. Like, I just felt like I think he had his thing going on, and I had like my little thing going on. And I don't know. I just feel like me and him kind of went together. I was like, okay. Like, you know, I kind of like in that little bubble that I was thinking, I was like, okay, I can see something going on or whatever. So I was like, oh, okay, that's what's up. So I was like, yeah, well, here, like, give him my number. So, you know, I gave her my number to give to Pablo. Okay, so check this out, guys. So it's crazy that I still remember all of this, because during that time, I was actually in a quinceañera. It was my homegirl, Monica, her little sister's quinceañera. She needed, like, extra people to be in the quinceañera. So my homegirl asked me, like, hey, do you want to be my little sister's quinceañera? And, like, dude, like, quinceañeras are fucking fun. Well, at that time, like, quinceañeras were fucking fun. Practice was fun. So I was like, yeah, like, I'm down, you know. I left night school or whatever, and then after that, I had to go like to my little quinceañera practice. So I remember like our first like call. So I remember like I was like, you know, with my little chambelán, and we're doing the practice or whatever. We're doing the fucking little waltz and shit. And then you know, practice was over. And you know, I was going through my phone. So I had like a cell phone at the time. Like, shout out to my pops. I had like a little flip phone and shit. I thought it was like badass. But anyways, I go through my little flip phone, and I see like I have a voicemail, and I listen to it, and then it's like, hey, what's up, Monique? Like, this is Pablo. Hit me up when you got time. Like, you know, back in the day when like they would like leave you like these voicemails trying to sound all sexy and shit. So I was like, okay. After that, me and him we were just talking on the phone all the time. And like, my mom was super strict, you guys. Like, super strict. Like, I hardly even got to go to my friends' houses. I hardly even got to go to the mall. Like, my mom was just really, really strict. Now that I think about it, okay guys, sorry, but now that I think about it, this was actually in summer school. So I was actually in summer school. So I was still bad because I was in summer school. Like, I was in night school, I was fucking summer school. So I was in summer school, and basically I couldn't really see him because my mom was super strict. So me and him would just talk on the phone. So for like, I don't know, summer vacation is what, like 2-3 months long. So me and him would just talk on the phone every day, like for fucking hours, you guys, like hours. And then like eventually, like he asked me like, hey, like, I don't know, like you know that little puppy love. Like after like maybe a couple weeks, he was like, hey, like, do you want to be my girlfriend? And I was like, yeah. So we just like hit it off. And even though like I was like his girlfriend, he was my boyfriend, like we wouldn't see each other because like I said, like my parents were super strict. So finally when we went back to school, now the year senior year, we went back to school. And like that's how I would see Pablo. Me and him would go to school together, and like basically he would like, I don't know, it was like kind of cute because he would like pick me up from my house, but like obviously like he wouldn't really pick me up. Like, he would take the bus to my house, and then like from my house we would like walk to school together. So I think Pablo only lasted in school because Pablo was pretty crazy. You know what, you guys, I've always been a problem. Like, I should have known I was going to be a problem this young, because I sure know how to pick them. So actually Pablo ended up getting maybe like a month late, maybe like 2 months after we started school, he ended up getting into a fight and he got expelled. So he got expelled and I was like heartbroken because I was like, fuck, like I'm not gonna be able to see him no more. And I remember I was all sad. So my older sister, if you guys watch the Murillo twins, they're my nieces, and basically you guys probably know their mom if you guys watch their videos, which is my sister Marbella. So I remember I was all sad and shit, and my sister would cover for me a lot because she knew that my parents were super strict. So my sister was like, oh, like, you know, if you want to hang out with him, why don't you just bring him over here like after you come out of school and you guys could hang out right here. And like she was cool with it because she would be there, so it's like she would be supervising us, you know, it's not like we would be alone together. So I had told him like, hey, like, you know, I'm sad I'm not gonna be able to see you anymore, but you know, my sister said it's cool if you come kick it at her house. So basically I would have a little routine. How we grew up, like my mom was a single mom and my sister was a single mom, so we kind of had like a little system. My sister would probably be gone for like maybe like 30 minutes because she would get off of work later, but it wasn't that much later. It'd be like 30-45 minutes. As soon as we got there, we had like a system, like we all had to clean the house. Like when he actually got expelled, he would go pick me up from school, like pick me up, take the bus to the elementary school to pick up my nieces and my nephew, or we would walk. Most of the time we would walk because that was kind of like our little alone time. And then we'd pick up my nieces and then we would go to my sister's house, and as soon as we got there we would all start cleaning. It's funny as fuck because I remember even him, like he would help us like clean the house and shit because he knew like it was a serious deal like if we didn't fucking clean. So I remember like we all had a little chore, like one of us would clean the kitchen, like somebody would like sweep, somebody would vacuum, somebody would clean the living room. Like we all kind of had a little system. Like it was like pretty cute. Like we were like a little family, you know. He was kind of like a problem child too, because he was always getting into, like, he was bad. Like ever since he was like a teenager, he was bad. And I remember he would always get into fights. And I remember my principal hated him. Like my principal did not like him, right? He would pick me up from school. Me and him would always get in trouble because like we would always be making out. And I remember we would make out like after school. And then I remember also going to football games was like a big deal. I don't even watch fucking football, but it was like a thing. To go to the football games. I would just go to kick it with all my friends. I remember I would go to the football games and my sister would cover up for me because like my mom would not even let me go to the fucking football games. I remember we would always fucking get in trouble with the principal because like the principal didn't have a problem with me, but I low-key feel like the principal knew he was no good for me. I remember this one time, I think it was like homecoming or something, and like, you know, homecoming is like one of the biggest games, and me and him were like hella making out after the game. Like we're just hella making out, but it was like outside of the fucking football game. It wasn't even in the arena. It was like outside, like where you pay. No one was even fucking there. And I remember me and him were just making out in our own little world, and like the principal rolls up on us and like we're like literally making out, and all we hear is, "You two, this is a family game and you guys are over here doing this." And I was like, oh my god, like I was so embarrassed. And he was just like, what the fuck? He was mad that the fucking principal was like hating and shit. So I like, fuck, okay, we're leaving, you know, because he was tripping off of us. So I don't know, that was just a good time. But I feel like Pablo was special to me because he was my first everything. And you guys know what I mean by my first. It was like special to me because it was someone that I really cared about. You know, I feel like a lot of girls when they had their first time, like it was kind of like they didn't care about that person. They just did it because everyone else was doing it. But I feel like me, I genuinely loved Pablo. And at the time, I felt like he genuinely loved me. So according to Pablo, I was his first everything too. So like it was like special for the both of us. Like it wasn't just like, oh, we're just doing it because everyone else was doing it. Like I feel like we both had like that special bond, and we both really cared about each other. So I feel like that's why it was so special to me, because I was really in love with Pablo. He was like my first love. So towards the ending, like when we were going to graduate, I was always on lockdown, and I remember I couldn't really go out. But like I was able to go out a few times because my sister would cover up for me. But I remember Pablo would be like, well, if you don't go out, then I'm not gonna go out either, whatever. So I was like, all right, you know. And at the time, what was popping was MySpace. If you don't know what MySpace is, you are way too young. But MySpace was basically like the first, well, I would say like the first legit social media ever. But I remember he lied to me a few times that he was gonna stay home, but that motherfucker ended up going out, right? Which is like whatever. I didn't really have a problem with it. But what ended up happening, why I ended up getting mad at him, was probably like a Sunday, right? So Saturday I didn't really talk to him at night, right? Because he's like, oh babe, I'm gonna go to sleep, whatever. So I remember that on Sunday I was on MySpace. You know, back in high school they had like party crews and shit, you know. So I would always look at the pictures because like I couldn't really fucking go out. So I would look at the pictures from like the parties, and like there was always like a photographer there. I think at the time the photographer was it Crunchy? I think that's his name. I think that was his name. But anyways, I remember I followed Crunchy and he would post like, you know, all these dope ass pictures. So I remember I would see everyone from high school there, you know. And there was a fucking picture of this motherfucker. Like there was this girl that went to high school with us, and she was like grinding on him, right? And it was like a picture, but the picture you can tell she's grinding on him, you know, because like her ass was like on him. I was so fucking mad, you guys. And like on top of that, like this girl, she was kind of like, I don't want to speak bad on her, but she was like kind of known like to get around at the time. So, and she had messed around with this guy that I had knew from high school. So like she just kind of had like a bad name, like in school. Like everyone kind of knew she was like, you know, she was kind of easy. So I was like, what the fuck? I was so pissed. And because you guys, if that would have been me, like it would have been the end of the fucking world, right? But so I fucking seen that. I was so pissed. So I remember when I talked to him, I was like, fuck you. Like you fucking went out and you had this girl shaking her ass on you, whatever. And he was like, no, like it wasn't even like that. I was just like, I don't want to be with you. And honestly, you guys, like it was kind of a dumbass fight. Like I don't even know why. Like it was like I had a good fucking point, I feel like, because you know she was grinding on him. So I was just super pissed about it. And after that I was like, oh, I don't even, because he would always fucking go out. Like he would always go out, and it's like I couldn't go out, so I couldn't even keep an eye on him. And I'm like, I felt like I didn't even trust him at this point, because you know, of this fucking picture and this girl fucking grinding on him. So I remember one time, there was another time where he ended up going out, and they got in really big trouble. They got into some stuff with the police, and I was like, what the fuck? So I told him like, you can't be doing shit like that no more. Like, and basically like, he was like, well, I'm still gonna go out. So it's like he still wanted to go out and do his shit. He's like, it's not my fault, you can't go out, whatever. So I kind of feel like that kind of strained our relationship. So after that I was like, whatever, like I don't even know if I want to be with you. Like I was just kind of on my bullshit too. So I remember and I take full responsibility for this. I ended up breaking up with him. You know, I know that he would be out like with these girls, because he would go out with other girls, you guys. So it wasn't just like guys, like he would go out with these other girls, right? So I remember I told him like, all you fucking do is party and you go out with these girls. Like I don't even know what you're doing. So I ended up breaking up with him. And then after that, like, you know, he would try to beg me back and stuff, but I was like, no, like I don't even like and I feel like I was so hurt that I told him a lot of hurtful shit. You know, I regret telling him half of the stuff that I told him. And then, you know, later on in time I did apologize. As the years went by, I did apologize for what I said. So I take full accountability for that. I said some really hurtful things. I was hurt myself, which is no excuse, but I had just told him a lot of fucked up shit, like just to hurt his feelings. I was with him from like 16 probably all the way to like 18, and then like I broke up with him. And after I broke up with him, he ended up dating like his girl best friend. And this is like the part where I told you guys that I regret doing so much shit. So basically, like, after I broke up with him, he never really stopped hitting me up. Like, he would always hit me up. He would hit up my sister because he was really close to, like, my older sister too. And my older sister loved him because he did do a lot of sweet stuff for us. Like, my sister was a single mom at the time. Like, we were broke, you guys. There was a lot of shit that we couldn't afford. And I remember it was my little nephew, Gordo, it was his birthday, and my sister couldn't afford to, like, throw him a birthday party, and she couldn't even afford to buy him a cake. So I remember Pablo, with his little money, he went and he bought him like a cake, and he brought him like a cake. So ever since then, my sister was like, oh my god, like, you know, which was like, it was like a nice gesture because he didn't have to do that. But after we broke up, like, he would hit up my sister, like, you know, please, like, tell Mo to take me back. And like, he would fucking stay calling me, you guys. He would fucking stay messaging me. Like, he would even message my fucking friend. He would bring like little teddy bears to my house, and I was just really stubborn. I was super stubborn. So that probably lasted probably like maybe like 2-3 months where he was kissing my ass. But then I seen that he was posting pictures with like his girl best friend, and basically it turned out that they ended up getting together. So during this time that they were together, he was still hitting me up, right? And you know, you guys, like, it was weird because I kind of thought like that was weird, you know. I was like, that's weird that that's your girl best friend. But I feel like I'm very confident in myself and I'm very secure. So I was like, oh, like, that's weird, you have a girl best friend. But at the same time, I was like, whatever. And I remember one time when me and him were together in high school, she had even messaged me like, hey, like, are you and Pablo still together? And I was like, well, if he's your friend, why don't you go ask him, you know? So I don't know, after I ended up seeing that, I was like kind of hurt because I was like, fuck, like, were you guys fucking around the whole time? Like, what happened, you know? So I was kind of in shock. I was like, what the fuck? So like, they're together? How long has this been going on? Because this is like only like maybe a couple months with me and him breaking up. I remember there was a moment where he called my sister, and I remember my sister told him like, well, why are you even trying to get back with my sister for if you're with this girl? And he's like, no, me and her broke up and this and this and that. Like, tell her that I want her back, whatever. So I remember my sister told me like, hey, like, you know, he told me he's not with that girl no more. Like, are you sure you don't like want to make it work again? And I was like, So I was like, you know what? Like, I don't know, because he was like, I don't know, you guys. And I feel like too, we have this like instilled in our heads. Well, like, if you grow up with OG parents, like, oh, your first is like a big deal, which it is a big deal, you know? I kind of had like this little fantasy in my head where I wanted to make it work with him so bad after a while, because I'm like, you know, he's my first, like, why not? Like, why not try to make it work? Me and him were like talking and stuff, and he's like, I always loved you, you're the only one I ever loved, this and this and that. Well, long story short, you guys, I ended up getting into a big ass mess with this girl. And you know what, you guys, I totally fucking regret it so bad, because I just feel like you guys should never get yourself into some shit over no man. Like, you should never have to fight for no man. I'm talking about physically fight. Like, you should never fucking fight over a man. If you have to fucking physically fight over a man with another girl, then fucking drop his ass, you guys. Me and her, I just feel like me and her, we both lost our dignity. I feel like I'm better than that, and I feel like she's better than that, you know? I feel like, what the fuck were we both thinking fighting over him? Like, this, like, it was not even fucking serious. And it's like, not just that, but dude, like, men love that shit. So imagine like all the satisfaction he got from that. And it's like, that wasn't right, because he was kind of playing with both of our heads, because he was telling me one thing and he was telling her one thing, you know? So I'm thinking he must have been telling her the same shit he was telling me, because we were both brainwashed. And like, honestly, you guys, I just feel like, what the fuck was I thinking? Because like, you know, not to say I'm like the baddest bitch on earth, but you know, for me being a little 18-year-old, I had my thing going on, you know? I had like my little game. I had guys that already had like full-time jobs. You know, they wanted to take me out. They would treat me good. They would respect me. They would put in that time. They were drama free, and like, they had like shit going for themselves. Even at 18 years old, they had shit going for themselves. And I feel like, Pablo, he was always like a badass. Like he never had nothing legit. Like he was just always doing shit he wasn't supposed to be doing. I'm pretty sure you guys know what I'm talking about. I'm just like, why was I dying over him? Like it wasn't even that serious. After me and her getting into this mess, like, you know, I would take him back and then she would break up with him, and then she would take him back and then I would break up with him. So it was just a back and forth thing for like a while. It finally got to a point once, like, I think I didn't have like another boyfriend after him, because he was like my first boyfriend. So I didn't have another boyfriend after him for like 3 years. I didn't have another boyfriend after him for like 3 years, you guys, because like I just like couldn't let it go until I finally got to the point where like I got kind of vengeful, because I was like, fuck that. Like, if you can be with someone else, why can't I be with someone else? And like, I don't know, I feel like I low-key, that's when I kind of started being like the little bit of more money kind of like being in the making, because I'm not the type of girl that can just sit there with my arms crossed. Like, fuck that. Like, if you're gonna do your mess, then I'm gonna start doing my own thing, you know? So after that, if you guys, this is my third breakup video. They're kind of mixed up, but if you guys have seen my first breakup video, that's on my second boyfriend. So I'll put the links in the description box just so you guys kind of know, because this story's a fucking mess. But anyways, so that's when I met my second boyfriend, which was my friend's brother. And he was older than me. He was like 5-6 years older than me, you know? I remember I ended up getting with my second boyfriend, and he was low-key having a heart attack. I ended up moving with my second boyfriend to Sacramento. This is how long like I waited, you guys, because I had met my first boyfriend when I was 16. So imagine, like, I didn't have like my next boyfriend till I was like 20, about to be 21. And then that didn't work out. My second boyfriend didn't work out. A little bit of time went by, and then I ended up meeting my third boyfriend, which is, that's my second breakup video, you guys. After that, I kind of started talking to my third boyfriend, and my third boyfriend was not any better than my first boyfriend, you guys. Like, this motherfucker was always cheating on me, and it was just always bad. So by my third boyfriend, I was more like, I think I was more down, and I just had this little fuck you attitude. And I think that's where like the making of more money was, because that's when I was already like, fuck these motherfuckers, like I'm not gonna let them do this shit to me no more. And I was just fed up, because like I just felt like I had so much shit happen to me already, and I was just so over it. I remember my third boyfriend, he would cheat on me too. And I remember I would leave my third boyfriend, I would leave him for like months, and I would like take breaks, and I would be kind of going through it, but I wouldn't be with him for like a long time, you know? And like I would see my third boyfriend with other girls too. Like I would see him out, and I would be like, fuck this motherfucker, like, and I would just take advantage, like, fuck it, I'm single, like I'm gonna just live my life. Pablo, he was in and out of relationships with his girl best friend too. So it's kind of funny, because I feel like they would kind of break up at the same time that me and my third boyfriend would break up, and it would kind of work out, because like he would start messaging me after that. My third boyfriend would always cheat on me with the girl he was with before me. So I'll be like, fuck that, like, you know, well, I'm gonna go talk to my first boyfriend. And like my third boyfriend and Pablo fucking hated each other. Like, and I think because I stayed with my third boyfriend the longest, Pablo fucking hated him, because, and I'll just stab up my third boyfriend, like, he had his thing going on, you know, like he was kind of known like in the city, because he was doing his thing, you know. And Pablo, he was doing like his thing, but they kind of just kicked it like on opposite sides of the city. So it's like he had his people, and like he had his people. And I remember they would like always talk shit about each other, and like I just feel like my third boyfriend had a thing with Pablo, because he knew that he was my first. So he kind of like, he was just like, I don't know, like he was just kind of machista about it. Like he was just like a macho, like, oh, that's your first. Like he kind of knew he was special to me, because like, so he was just kind of insecure about that. And then I feel like Pablo was kind of insecure, because like he knew that my third boyfriend was doing his thing, and I was like kind of with him, like, you know, like he was kind of like the first boyfriend that I actually took serious, and me and him were like working out. Like, I mean, even though it was a fucking hot mess, but I don't know, they just kind of had like this competition going on. It was just kind of stupid. They fucking hated each other, but I would just, you know, be doing my thing, and then Pablo would just come out the picture and be like, hey, like, you know, can I take you out? Like, you know, let's hang out. And yeah, like I would go hang out with him while, and I was single, you know, I was fucking single, and I would go hang out with him, and you know, he was single too, so I just feel like we weren't doing nothing wrong. I don't know, like I feel like me and Pablo were kind of playing with fire, because then I would end up getting back with my boyfriend, and then Pablo would end up getting back with you know, the girl that he was with. So it was just kind of a back and forth thing. I don't know, we would just always come back to each other. When you're fucking young, you do the dumbest shit, you do so much stupid shit, and it's like, why did I even do that? Like, you know, like you just get yourself into a lot of mess. Not to lie, you guys, I feel like Pablo, sometimes I would get my hopes up with him, because I really did want to make it work, because he was like my first boyfriend. And you know, he would kind of brainwash me like, oh, like I love you, I never loved nobody else like I loved you, and this and this and that. And I would fucking fall for it. I would fall for it like a dumbass. This was kind of like rewind. This was kind of like before I even got with my second boyfriend. Like, he would brainwash me like that. I didn't have a boyfriend for so long after like we broke up, because he would brainwash me, and he'll be like, I love you, like you're the only one I want to be with, and I miss you, I don't want nobody else to have you, like I was your first. So he would just kind of brainwash me, you know. I would get back with my third boyfriend, because I would be like, okay, well at least, you know, my third boyfriend spends real time with me, and you know, I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. But you know, once I had like my third boyfriend, it was just kind of game on after that, and I was just playing the game with him. And it's like, even though I was with my third boyfriend and I did love my third boyfriend, like I don't know, like it's gonna sound weird, but I think I was kind of like in love with both of them. Like I was in love with my third boyfriend, and I was in love with Pablo, which is my first boyfriend. It's just something always kept bringing us back. We would always come back to each other, and I guess like we both couldn't let it go. And like I just feel like he couldn't let me go, and I couldn't let him go. And like I think we both knew it wasn't gonna fucking work, but like even though it wasn't gonna work, we still wanted to be with each other. Like it was just weird. I ended up finally breaking up with my third boyfriend, because I was like, I'm fucking tired of you. You're always fucking cheating on me. Like you're fucking no better than any of my other exes. Like I'm fucking done. So I ended up breaking up with him. I was like, you know, I was single for a while, and of course Pablo comes back to the fucking picture. I would always see him when I would go out, so it's like we always fucking bumped into each other. Me and Pablo would start talking again. So at the time, like I was not fucking with my ex-boyfriend no more. Like it was done, that was it. I started talking to Pablo again, but when I started talking to him, it wasn't even like on like, oh, we're gonna like get together. It wasn't even like, we wouldn't even mess around. It was kind of like we just liked each other's company. He would just be like fucking around still, so it was just like he would just kind of play with my head. So it's like, fuck that. Like I would just like drop him. I think out of all my relationships, this might have been the hardest one for me to get over, just because it happened over a span of years. Like it took me 8 years, you guys. 8 years to finally get over this man. Like 8 fucking years it took me. I got tired of it, and I'm like, dude, like fuck it. Like if we're gonna be friends, we're gonna be friends, and that's it. Like we're not gonna be nothing else. So I remember I would see him like talking to this girl, and I was like, whatever. Like I was okay with it, you know. I didn't care. At the time I was working at Cricket, and I was working at Boost Mobile. I was working in this mall, right? I was working at Manchester Mall. So I remember this cute ass guy would come in, right? And he would like always come buy phones off of me. So and I don't know, I just thought he was so cute, and he would always flirt with me too. So I was like, okay, like I see you. And like I remember, so when I used to work at Cricket, me and all my best friends worked together, which was hella fun. Like I miss those days. I remember like I'll be like, hey, like he would come in and I'd be like, hey, how can I help you? And like, you know, I would always be the one to assist him or whatever. I ended up giving this guy my number because like he would come buy phones off of me. So I was like, okay, cool, whatever. And like me and him would talk on the phone once in a while, but like that's like, you know, that was it. Fast forward, you guys, maybe a couple weeks after like me and this guy would kind of be on the phone, I had never seen this cute guy before until he came into my store, right? So I remember one time I was fucking working, right? The cute guy calls me and he's like, hey, like, what's up? He's like, I have this phone, like, he's like, I have this phone, like, and it's like, you know, I want to connect it or whatever, like, you think you can connect it for me? So I was like, yeah, bring it in, I'll hook you up, whatever. So he's like, all right, cool. So a couple minutes later, Pablo calls me. He's like, hey, I have this phone, like, do you think you hook it up for me? And I was like, yeah, well, bring it in or whatever. Okay, so I was working at Boost Mobile at the time. So Boost Mobile, it was a little kiosk in the mall, but my boss also owned Cricket. So Cricket was the actual store, and I would walk to Cricket to use like the restroom, or like if I had to hook a phone up or something and it was like a Cricket phone, then I would just close the store up and I would go to Cricket. Pablo ends up getting there first. So Pablo comes, he's like, what's up? Like, can you hook this phone up for me? Whatever. And I was like, yeah. So I was like, so he actually walked to Boost Mobile where I was at. So I was like, oh yeah, like, let's go to Cricket. Like, you know, let's walk over there and we'll hook your phone up. Like, I'll tell one of the girls, because my best friend was working at the time. So I was just going to walk him over there, tell my girl to hook him up. So, you know, I closed down the store. When Pablo showed up to Boost Mobile, he had a fucking hickey. And it wasn't for me, right? He had a hickey from I don't know who. I'm imagining it was this girl he was talking to. So I was like, you know, me trying to like play the game. I was like, whatever, motherfucker. You know, I try to pretend like I didn't care. So we walked to fucking Cricket, and you guys, tell me fucking why the cute guy was there with all of Pablo's friends. So I put two and two together and I was like, oh my god, like they fucking know each other, right? Which I didn't know, because this guy, the cute guy, I had never seen him in my life. So I think he must have moved to Fresno from another city, because I had never seen him like kick it with Pablo. Pablo set me up, you guys.